Right. And you can find out anything you want to know.
Yeah.
You get your zero party data, you get your intention, you get your first party information, you get engagement, you get an actual relationship with these people, and you lean into the most important asset that the world is currently deficit of.
So I want to have people understand the Turtle marketplace in and of itself, why it's such a unique model, and why we believe that we're top of the hill for FPD and ZPD. Yeah. There's two things. Number one is unmatched data quality. So zero and first party data collected directly from individuals. We get explicit consent. So that makes the data more accurate. It makes it more relevant. And then aggregated third party data where you're not. So can you kind of explain to people a little bit about getting consent? Like
the consent's important because it reduces the liability for you sourcing that data. So as a brand, people don't want to find out that you've just like been spying on them. People are more apt to share behaviorally if you're having a engaging relationship with them rather than, why are you sending me, like, say, an ad for this, or why are you calling me? How'd you get my phone number? Like, I don't want this. I don't want to interact with you. I don't know who you are. So the difference here is that when you go through Turtle and you're working with them on consent on things that they want to share, and you're meeting them in the middle and you're transacting with them data for money and money for data, that builds a relationship that has historically ceased to exist.
Right.
But what puts us at the forefront is that we put all of these tools in the hands of the consumer to say, you are in 100% control. But in doing so, that actually creates a huge unlock for so many different brands and so many different industries that have been starving for this information, but can finally get access to it because brand to brand wouldn't share it. But me as a person interacting with multiple brands can share everything about my interactions.
Well, what the cool part, and I think that's unique about this, that what our model is, not only do we have unmatched data quality, but we have ethical data practices. And this is really important because where are you getting your data from now? And there's a lot of data companies. You can go out there and purchase data.
Yeah.
A lot of companies. Where are they getting that data from?
Right.
Well, they're probably getting it from other vendors. You know, who knows where they're trying to get third-party data and they're an aggregation, type. But how do you know? Can you go all the way through
your supply chain of where that data came from
and know that it was ethically sourced?
Correct. So like when you're sourcing data on Turtle, it comes with a timestamp.
Yeah.
It's locked on a blockchain.
Yes.
You can see and verify that I went and ethically and appropriately sourced that information from that person with full consent. I gave them compensation and they shared that data asset back in return.
I love it.
For brands today, brands will lose a lot of goodwill if people find out that their data was sourced inappropriately.
Yes.
Or used inappropriately.
I mean, you're having this all the time.
You lose trust instantaneously.
Yes.
And guess what?
So why would they have a conversation with you? So let's say you go to send out a simple survey. Why would they have a conversation with you if 2 months before that you send them an email like, "Ooh, we're sorry, your password was."
Yeah. They're going to say.
I'm not going to share anything.
They're going to say, "Nah, bro, I'm not sharing."
And that's why I think it's so important to have Turtle, because we're that. I don't like to use the word third party, but we're that person that can come in that's already established the trust with your consumer and have a conversation with them, and it's not beholden to you. We built the trust for you.
Right.
We're
independent of what your business operations are. We're not siding with any one particular party. This was built for everyone in every type of business.
Yeah, and the challenges of big data, there's three main ones. We talked about privacy concerns. We talked about data quality. I want to talk about data fragmentation. Turtle aggregates data from various sources, but we create a unified view of the customer. Can you talk about like the consumer profiles and how we're a whole person profile and what we're doing with that?
Sure. Yeah. So the unique part about Turtle is that this tool allows people to self-aggregate their information from everywhere. Turtle wouldn't have the processing power. We wouldn't have the time or the wherewithal to start amassing profiles of information on people all across the world like that totally unethical company called Palantir does. I think you've heard of it. Yes. We wouldn't have the ability to do it. So we weigh into people and their work and their time to build up essentially this storage of data and knowledge on them. Now, in doing so, everything, when they're using it, there are categories which they can then perfectly chunk off all these different aspects of who they are in terms of their zero-party data and first-party data. We call this the whole person profile. So on Turtle, you can say, okay, I am looking for this type of person, like this cohort, this demographic. and I want these 15 elements from their whole person profile. I want to know this chunk of them that I otherwise couldn't get anywhere else on the internet. I'm going to do that, and I can go directly into Turtle and say, hey, in 4 clicks of a mouse, I can source that from a crowd of 100,000 people, and they can willingly share it right over to me, and I can have such deep, rich insight, pre-structured, categorical insight directly on those individuals, right down to the personal level. You can't do that anywhere else.
No, you can't do that anywhere. And so when we're talking to data professionals, and I know there's a lot of chief data officers that listen to our podcast, I want to get into how our suite of tools and features can help you personally as a data professional. We already talked about real-time insights. You can gain insights. It's agile. It's data-driven. What does it look like when you're talking about data integration? How do we integrate with AI tools, with CRMs and stuff like that? And I know we have examples of how we do with healthcare and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct. So Turtle was built to be very flexible for tying into many different types of systems. So we wanted to look at very default formats for how our servers can speak to yours. We have an open API system that can tie into and communicate with just about any sort of system in any sort of industry, from healthcare to CRMs that are in the automotive industry, and to AI or machine learning models that need to have, ready, synced, timely, frequent updates of information that have to go into their algorithms. All ways of doing that, we have it so it's simple to tie that in, speak to our technology to say, hey, these are my parameters, this is what I need, and I need it to come to me in an automated manner. We have all the suite of tools built out for you for full documentation to do that efficiently.
I love that, yeah.
So whether you want to come and work with us and say, hey, I want you guys to help us with this integration, or I already have a team of developers that will just use this and we can develop on top of it, Turtle's ready to go for you.
I love that. Have you ever played the Fruit Ninja game?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about granular segmentation, how we slice and dice data.
We have
how do we identify customer segments, and then how can we tailor their strategy accordingly?
Mm-hmm. So like all things in life, you take a large pool of things and you sift them down, right? It's like always panning for gold. Companies do it all the time. Now, how do you pan for gold amongst data? Where do you find it? Where do you find those just nuggets of truth that are just so rich that you're like, wow, we can do some great things with this? Turtle has built probably one of the strongest filtration systems in the world for filtering people down depending on how they're answering data for you. So let me walk you through a very simple example. I'm going out and I'm going to choose a demographic, say 18 to 34 in Australia. We'll use Australia. Now, I want to understand the larger pool of these people and say, okay, if this pool of people was given 2 choices, all right? And
beer or work?
Yeah.
Australians?
Yeah, beer or work, right? If they're given one of these 2 options, okay, and they choose one, the system builds out automations for you that can actually put them into individualized cohorts that allow you to then re-engage with that group.
Yes.
And so how you get information from them, you can design how they actually get sifted.
Yes.
And then from that, you have all these individual groups with a unique identifier that you can go back to and re-engage with into perpetuity in the future.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to kind of get into some real world applications across industries and how this works. I know with healthcare, we develop personalized treatment. You can take our data, develop personalized treatment plans, predict disease outbreaks, enhance. And this is a big one that we're doing right now is enhance patient engagement.
Yeah, enhance patient engagement. So most of the time, the engagement rates in the healthcare industry are from like 1% to 3%.
Yeah, it's pretty dismal.
It's trash. I mean, I don't want to have a relationship with my healthcare plan.
I don't want to be sitting in the hospital and feeling shitty and have to fill out a survey.
No.
On a clipboard.
It doesn't work. Or I have to sit down with a care management nurse for 2 hours for them to figure my life out. It wouldn't be great if I could just essentially put the bits and pieces of this together over time in an iterative format that's really beneficial for me and meets me where I am.
Yeah, and I get paid to do it.
Oh, super cool. So in the stance of healthcare, like one of the big things in one of our recent case studies dealt around things called notice of pregnancy. So just being able to understand when someone is pregnant, okay, who that member might be for a healthcare plan, that allows the plans to then curate risk amongst that group and say, what resources can we get these mothers right now?